Hello, Melky here. I am going to read this new law that hasn't been rectified yet, but pretty likely it's going to be rectified. I've been living on top of a old version of the law, which is like tens of years, decades long. So they just renewed this. This is very fundamental for everybody. This is the constitution, pre-constitution, I should say, in Indonesia. So let's start. Um, for the sake of word orderliness based on international law, other purpose that wants to be achieved by this renewal of criminal law is to protect and realize public prosperity. And therefore, based on current development, meaning like probably current technology and stuff, uh, we are going to renew the criminal law, and um, and it cannot be done partially but have to be done comprehensively and systematically for the things that are basic, uh, for the purpose of reconstruction and restructuration for the whole criminal law in current constitution, and including for those that are not in the current constitution that contains criminal law also. So there are specific criminal law, and there are some kind of criminal regulation related to other laws. For example, technological and information spreading, internet constitution, right? Like the freedom of speech stuff, it is in there. The blasphemy law or the insult law, it is also criminalized, right? So it is there now. From the news that I've seen, this law is going to renew that and override that, so everybody would refer to this one. Okay, so it is interesting thing to do. So let's continue on reading. For the renewal of the criminal law by making the new, okay, that's how we call it, the criminal constitutional law, KUHP. It will be the basic for in Indonesian national criminal law as a sovereign country, and also for the mission of decolonization of the legacy criminal law from colonial time, I guess, democratization of the criminal law, and the criminal law consolidation, adaptation, and harmonization for a lot of different developments of law that had already happened, uh, because of the evolution of criminal justice system, I guess, and also um, the and also, excuse me guys, this is like a legal jargon translation. Where was I? And a lot of law development based on development in the knowledge of criminal law. So it's not the justice system, it's the knowledge of criminal law, and also the development of, why is now this is the problem, the development of Indonesian law society. Okay, Indonesian law society, basically the whole society supposedly, but they are referring it as specifically Indonesian law community or law society. So it's as if like there is a special community of the society, of the lawful society. I guess like there is a community that actually cares about the law and all lives around the law and uses the law as their lifestyle. It is pretty difficult to find though, in my personal experience, but I do believe. Um, I mean, it's like the justice system, the lawyer, the prosecutor, I believe, the professors, the law students. But regardless, you gotta include everybody, right? You gotta include all the norms that exist in the society, because everyone is Indonesian lawful society, supposedly. So that part is a little bit I don't think if you put it there, I don't think it's a big deal though. I don't think it's a big deal, but what is the meaning of that, right? And standard for norms and in Indonesian law society and international world, and also as a reflection for national sovereignty with based on responsibleness. That is responsible full. I don't know what's the word. The academic script of the okay guys, it's a long stuff, but I'm going to get back to that later. Let's get into the law, straight into the law. This is the oh, that's a pretty long table of contents. I'm not going to read this for now. I'm just going to jump into the instructions. Here we go. Oh, so this is the previous laws that have been overridden. All of this. Wait, where is the instruction? So this is the framework of mind when you are reading this. What are the problem? What are the solutions? What are the basic principles? So this is an important part of Indonesian law because like there's instructional stuff, but if the instructional stuff can be proven to be against these principles, you could kind of argue for the different implementation in the real world, right? It's always the priority is always the purpose, the asas. What is the English for asas? The basic principle, right? The basic value that it wants to hit, the note that it wants to hit, the harmony, right? And that is like the main stuff. That is the most important stuff. Okay, next. This is empirical theory. This stuff usually is not going to be in the law, but still because this law is this pre-constitution is still being talked about in the legislative. So we have all of this stuff like this academic presentation or thesis and stuff. I want to get into the instructions law though. Very, very extensive, interesting stuff. So if you want to look further into this, you should, and that would make you kind of an expert because again, in real life, instructions really are rigid, right? Really rigid, and you would really want to be able to maneuver around, even though not necessarily breaking them, but actually doing a combo, right? A combo of laws in relation to your situation. It's actually going to be useful. It's going to be like permanently useful, and you can keep on. That is an asset right there. If you could figure that out for your life, for your point of view, it's going to be different, but if you figure it out, it's an asset, guys. Okay, next. Oh my god, there's so many. 539 pages. Now here's the deal, right? Because the law is made for everyone. Okay? Like would it be user friendly for everyone? I know that this law is going to apply for daily lives. It's relevant for long term, decades probably. So you gotta learn it every day. But as a public document, there's also this principle of user friendliness, right? And we want the law to be adopted by everybody, so we could really synchronize with each other in harmony. How could we do that if it's difficult to actually internalize the law? Something that is a little bit unreasonable to be expecting out of the people. However, It is necessary. It is necessary, and life has a lot of problems, and yeah, the law address a lot of problems. So it's actually better to actually read the law. That is a legacy. Yeah, but again, that is the direction of improvement, right? So you would really want to make things easier, easier to internalize, because well, oh, there's still like philosophical and sociological jurisdiction, juridis. What is juridis? Because we want to synchronize, we want to make a formation, and we want to solve the problem of evil. Evil being misallocation of resource, the potential for misallocation of resources. So we want to nullify it, we want to kill it forever, truthfully. So in the road to there, that is justice, right? In the road to justice, we gotta know what we are doing and we gotta know what each others are doing under that context. It's actually not supposed to be complicated. It is actually supposed to be pretty simple, because it's human with human, and we have empathy. I think if we could utilize that intuition, and we could be honest to each other, right? I think the law could be much more like organic, I should say. Okay, is this something? Okay, this is again a thesis. So the reason behind um, all of these laws, very interesting. Like the professor's opinion and stuff. There we go. This is the closing statement. These are the books, the relevant books. These are the references from past constitution. So these are the laws that are outside of the criminal law that is being overridden. There's a lot of them, surprisingly. So I went through 300 of pages in order to find the instruction, guys. Would there be an instructions though? There should be, right? There should be. So about 100 pages, less than 100 pages, I believe. Why is there so many of these? Okay, let me go all the way to the end. Oh my, oh my. Sorry about this. What I think I've disappointed you guys. What is this? Is this the instructions? I it is unusual for me to see if it is. It is unusual. The forms are unusual. Let me try to read that from here. Okay. So in terms of delivering your opinion in public, there's a criminal perform a criminal act if with violence and with a violent, what do you call it, tendencies, with violent threats, that's the word, to make it difficult for the citizens to deliver their opinions in public, that is not in violation of the constitution. Okay, so if they want to make a public of opinion, and you stop that with violence or with threats of violence, that is a criminal act. Okay, but maybe not if you like debated him, or you pointed out the mistakes. That should be fine. Now we're going to get into the part where insults is going to be involved. Because sometimes people say something really stupid, right? And you're like, that is so stupid, right? Is that a criminal act? Is that an insult? I think this one also has something in it that talks about that. Everyone this, who perform a violence in the household. So this is domestic violence. Everyone who perform a domestic violence will be jailed. Okay, wow. And for 3 years and 15 million rupiahs for those who abandon other people inside the house. Abandonment, right? And then everyone who this is person exploitation. This is a exploitation of person. This is like human trafficking. Okay, human trafficking is a crime. Everyone who perform human trafficking to the inside, and this one talks about towards the outside. So human trafficking from to are crimes. Everyone who adopt a child in promise of something for for the purpose of exploiting the child is a crime. Everyone who send a child inside or outside of the country in every way that causes the child to be exploited, okay, it's a crime. That is good. And if okay, so this is another issue here. If you perform a criminal act as mentioned in verse 2, 3, and 4 and 5, it is not explained because this part is kind of the updates list. So the original one is in the original part. I guess later when they issued the whole legislation is going to be complete, right, from the beginning to end. I hopefully so it would make sense. um so let me try to make up something from this. It says if people have a big wound, a big mental illness, other contagious diseases that endangered his life, pregnancy, or reproduction problem, as a consequence of such action, it would be there's an extra punishment for that. There's an extra punishment. So the definition of significant damages or significant wound in this that is being talked about here is fell ill or it got a wound that is permanent, that cannot be healed, or causes the threat of death, cannot continuously to perform their jobs, losses of senses, massive cripple and cripplement, and mental problems for continuously for 4 weeks within a year, or within a year that is not consecutively, the miscarriage. Okay, so there is an extra punishment for that. So there's also an extra punishment for human trafficking for public officials that involved in such act. So this is like again human trafficking stuff and the punishments. So if there is a sexual violation involved, there is another penalty for that. Okay, so this is when a corporation is involved in human trafficking. So the people who are in the management is liable in this case. So these are the types of punishment, like permit, the business permit is going to be at stake. The assets, the legal entity. The I think it's involved. It's also involved of lifting the corporate fail stuff, the firing of the directors or the management, and the banning of the management of the said people to establish further corporations in the same field. Okay. All right, there's a lot of stuff here already, and I think that is quite as far as I am going to go in this video, but still there's a lot more to go through. It is not actually in the complete form, unfortunately. Usually when it comes to law like this, there's already a complete form, but because there's something special about this law, because it is an important law, it is something that everybody should know. They do a kind of an innovation in here, in the legislative. They got the reasoning, and they got like the academic thesis and stuff. um, Interesting thing to see. This is something new, to be honest. This is something new. And okay guys, I think if you have further questions about this, please leave it in the comment section. If there are specific parts that you want to know, I'm going to try to look for it and try to talk about it if you find these things interesting. Goodbye guys.